everybody, Shug here, and I was kind of hoping to have a chat with you today about just the bigger picture of hammocks, sort of the broad scope. I want to sort of speak esoterically a little bit about hammocks. Not so much showing how to do anything here, but just things that get on my mind about hammocks, and maybe they get on your minds, and it's things that people ask me from time to time, or I see come up on forums. So let's just have a little chat about it. I'm going to sit back and have myself a little sip of my Medaglia d'Oro Instant Espresso. Hey, I hope I never come off as a guy who is trying to get everybody to, camp or use a hammock. That has never been my intent. Really, I don't want everybody hammock camping, because then there's no trees for Sugar the third person. But to be honest, the perfect backpacking trip for me, say you got 4 people, couple in a tent, couple in a hammock. Tenters can get to the spot, throw down on the ground. The hammockers can go find their trees and hang them up. Nothing against tents. Camped in tents for years. My intent has always been, and from the day that I used to see people on hammock forums struggling with their hammocks, because let's face it, hammocks are kind of complex for this simple cloth, human sack that holds you in the comfort of its nylon or taffeta or string or rope or Dreamtex or Hyper D, and we'll talk about fabrics down the line sometime, not on this video but on another one. Kind of complex, the way you have to hang it and have your bug net, have your insulation, blah blah blah. That's kind of how I feel about that. So here we go. What I'm thinking is you're just getting into hammocks, all right? And I remember when I got into them, I was perplexed. I kind of went on YouTube and looked up some stuff, and that gave me some insight, and that's how I found hammock forums. But this part is really geared toward the new person that may just want to get a hammock, don't want to use a cottage vendor, they don't want to put it in order and wait. Or they're in a store and it's an impulse buy. They're somewhere. I think sometimes at Walmarts or different places there's just some cheap hammocks there. You go to any sport or camping store, there's usually an Eno hammock hanging there. Now, these are great hammocks that you can buy right at the moment, and I think you should if you're new. Just get the actual just hammock part and learn how to hang it. A 20-30 degree angle. You don't want your hammock going straight out on those trees. It's a lot of pull, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. I see people doing that all the time. Do your thing. That's what I say. I do mine, you do yours. Some people sleep and camp in them. Most people seem to use them for lounging and hanging out. I go to the woods to sleep and get myself 10 to 12 hours of sleep. But then again, I am the Lord of Lollygag. The thing about a tent, you pitch a tent, the floor is on the ground, the floor of the tent, or if it's just a tarp on the ground or whatever, you lay your sleeping bag and your pad down and you're done. When you're in a hammock, you're actually laying in the material. So it's almost like wearing a suit in a strange way. It's like wearing your bed. To think about hammocks and the way they're used. Now, I'm a backpacker. I camp and sleep in my hammock. That is a particular type of hammocker. We're probably the most passionate. I don't want to use the word obsessed. Obsession makes people cry. Passion makes people envious of you. Great to have a passion. Camping hammocks, you're going to have a tarp, you're going to have bug nets, you're going to have underquilts, you're going to have pads, you're going to have top quilts or sleeping bag, or you're going to have a wool blanket, or whatever it is that you do when you're out in the woods. So you got your camping people. Like my nephew Oliver. He's in college. They do what they call mucking. What he does is he goes and hangs his Eno hammock up somewhere out on the quad. No underquilt, no pillow, no tarp. He's got his book, he's got his studies. They're just hanging out. And when you're sitting in a hammock with somebody, you're going to end up being sort of hip to hip with them. So that's mucking. A casual way, a social hammocking. See a lot of people that will carry hammocks backpacking, and they don't intend to sleep in it. They hang it out for the day to kind of hang out in. Then you have your indoor sleepers. Some of those use cottage vendors. Some of them will use something like, a hammock right off the rack. But a lot of people use the Mayan hammocks, which are these woven hammocks, no spreader bars. People that sleep every night sometimes like a breathable cotton or a mesh. So, hammocking's got a bit of range, so there's different styles for different people. I just happen to be a backpacker and like sleeping in mine because I get the best sleep ever when I'm in my hammock. Do I look tired now? That's because I didn't sleep in my hammock for the last 20 nights. You know, most of the cottage vendors, you can choose your length, 10 foot, 11 foot, 12. You can choose single layer, double layer, bug net, no bug net, zip bug net, fully enclosed bug net, removable bug net that stays on. Choices of fabrics. You want to, you know, the lightest 20D, 40D, 70D, Hyper D, Hexon, wow, Dream Tex, and then there's good old ripstop nylon, and there's grids now, diamond grid, square grid, smooth. Goes on and on and on with the options you can have. Ridgeline, no ridgeline, what sort of suspension? Do you want pockets? Do you want ridgeline organizers or things? So if you're new, I could see you can get perplexed there. So, you know, if you're a new person and you just want to get a hammock and try it, just get one you can buy off the shelf. Now, if you get hooked, like somebody that gets hooked on automobiles or fishing and, you know, whatever your sport is, and you go, I want more. Well then, of course, you might want to start looking at the cottage vendors, and you can have a custom made hammock. That's kind of my thoughts on that. Just, you know, when you're ready for the cottage vendors, they're there. You know, and if you do start getting into hammocking and, you know, you want to backpack with it and take it as your shelter, you know, this is going to be what you're going to sleep in, then you're going to have to get into tarps. Felt like having this talk. I've kind of been thinking about it while I drive around about hammocks, and just, you know, it just dawned on me that not everybody really camps in there. So I keep seeing people just hanging out in parks and stuff. So really, I probably think more people just lounge in them than actually camp in them. So appreciate your time listening to me. It's been, it gets a little lonely out here on the farm, and I just can only talk to the donkeys and the cows so much. The fabric of your hammock can make a difference in the comfort of your hammock. The fabric of your hammock can make a difference in the comfort of your hammock. Do you like when I do that, or do you not like when I do that? All secure in Sector 7.